Hey there! Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, dwarf planet. From the Sun. Okay, now why did I tell you that? Because today we're talking about this pen. And this is the Laban. I still say that in a French way, and I don't know why. It's a Taiwanese company, but here we are. This is the Solar in Venus Orange. And if you are an avid viewer of this channel, which obviously you are, you may remember that I have reviewed something that looked an awful lot like this, but it was blue, and that was something that Laban sent me at some point. This pen is on loan from Joost. Joost Appelboom, so familiar to me, Appelboom from Appelboom Pens. He started to carry Laban. I like Laban. That brand and I go back really quite far. Some of my earliest nicer pens were Laban pens. So I was very excited Joost started to carry them. And he said, can I lend you some to review? I said yes. So he sent me a couple. One of them, I specifically requested this one because the blue version I have is actually a rollable. And I thought it would be fun to try out the fountain pen version. It's a smaller pen. It's not a pocket pen, but it is smaller than some other pens. Here we see it next to another pen, which is definitely quite a bit bigger. So it's a smaller pen. What a stupid, idiotic thing to say. Next to a larger pen, the smaller pen looks smaller. Okay, anyway, I'm going to cover the parts of this pen. I will do a writing sample, and I will tell you right now, I love the way it writes. Wonderful writer. And then I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it. Apparently I already started with that. Now, if you want one, don't forget to click the Appelboom banner on my website. You get a 10% discount. Just looking out for my bros and sisters. And I'll end there. Let's get started. Okay, let's talk about the Laban Solar Venus Orange. Comes in this box. I'll show you the box first. I like these boxes. White cardboard sleeve, and then this almost feels a bit silky. It's a very nice material with some ribs. Makes for a nice texture, and I like the design. The dark blue and the gold, I think, are very classy. So I quite like that. Then you have this tab you can pull, and then we see, this could well be a sticker. I'm not going to try to unpeel that because it's not my property. And then this comes out, you get the bookmark, which I think is a nice touch they do, and you get a little Laban booklet with warranty and filling instructions and all that kind of stuff. Just going to put that away. Let's talk about the pen a little bit. So these pens are 66 euros and 12 cents excluding VAT. Remember the Appelboom discount. You can get them in extra fine, fine, medium, or broad. I'm just putting this out there and I'll zoom in a bit. So we have that right next to a Pilot Metropolitan. As you can see, it's a very similar size to that. I quite like it. You have these concentric machined grooves that I think are quite nice. It has some polished chrome accents, but it is made of aluminum or aluminium if you prefer. It's smaller, but it does fit a converter comfortably, so you are not stuck with cartridges. And here is my own version of this pen, but this is a rollable, which Laban sent me at some point. I wanted to point that out because you can see, I don't know how well you can see, but around certain edges, that coating, or is it anodized, I'm guessing, it starts to wear off a little bit. Now I think that has charm, but some people would not like that. You see it a bit here as well. Anyway, so I don't know if that was super visible, but there we are. So that would be the rollerball that I use a lot for writing addresses and envelopes, for example. And then here we have the actual fountain pen. So let's talk about the parts of this pen. I've given you a description and price. On top, same material as the rest of the cap. We have that nice chrome accent. It is very shiny, and I kind of like the triangular look of the clip. The clip is spring-loaded, making it very pleasant to use. There is the Laban logo right there beneath the clip. And the fun thing about this is, tell me where the cap ends and where the barrel begins. It's a very tight fit, so it's interesting, but it is right there, right? So it looks, to me, that looks really cool. The barrel tapers down, and I know there are people out there who'd be like, oh yeah, self-defense. Yeah, I know what you mean. It does have a bit of that shape. Uncaps, and then you have this, oops, sorry for that noise. You have a bit of a textured section. I'll come back to that in likes and dislikes. I find it very comfortable. My dislike is more in it catching some ink. We have a nib that looks like it's, I would say, number 5. It is engraved with the Laban logo. It says Iridium. It says Germany. It has a, I don't know, plastic ABS feed. A comfortable pen, certainly not the largest pen in the world. It does kind of sort of post, but it's not necessarily super secure, and the cap can fall off. So I don't think this is really a pen made for posting. Under the hood, we have a Laban converter. I like it when pen companies brand their converter. It's just elevates it a little bit from just another standard converter, I think. Metal, all metal, aluminum, not the heaviest of metals, right? That's the whole point. So it's not burdensome to write with. And then we have this nib. This is a broad nib, and I will say, very pleasant writer. Speaking of which, let's pull out some paper. Oh, actually I don't have to zoom out. I think this is pretty good. Here we have the Laban Solar. If you don't mind, I will not write down the Venus Orange just to save some time. This is a broad steel nib, and the ink is Waterman Blue. I'm shutting up so you can listen to the sound. There is no scratchiness, but there is feedback, and I find it very pleasant. I find this a very pleasant feedback. It lets you know you're writing with a fountain pen. But for some people, if you like an ultra smooth, glassy nib, this is maybe not for you. I will say, super comfortable writer, I find. Very consistent ink flow, works very nicely. Again, I love that feedback that it offers. In no way scratchy. It's just, there is some feedback. Like I said, it's not brutally wet, it's just well tuned. Line variation, well, I mean, there certainly is some, but it's not meant as a flex nib, so be very careful. You could squeeze out some. It is a steel nib, but be very careful as you do so. Okay, reverse writing. Weird writing, but there we are. For those of you who enjoy such a thing, you can sort of do it, but I mean, it gets drier, and I don't think this is something that you want to do for a very long time, but you can certainly get away with some words, so that is pretty good. I think we should talk about likes and dislikes. What do I like? What do I not like about this pen? I think there's a lot to like, and I don't really have any enormous dislikes. So I'll start with the one dislike I have. The section with this texture is pleasant to use. I'll absolutely say that. But if you choose to use the converter that was included, and you dip it into a bottle of ink, that texture will capture some ink. It's not terrible because it's not very sharp, it's not very deep, but it is there. That means you really have to wipe down the section. But Stephen, don't you always have to wipe down the section? Of course, but if you have a smooth section, ink can get a little less stuck. Now, I haven't had any issues. These threads are fairly deep, but I mean, to hit that, you would have to dunk the whole pen in a bottle of ink, because remember, the threads are actually not part of the section, right? They're part of the barrel, so that's not really an issue. Oh, yes. Just pointing that out. That's really the only thing I don't like. Beyond that, there's a lot to like. First of all, I think it's a robust pen. All metal, that makes for a nice solid build, can roll off your desk. I'm sure it won't harm it one bit. And I think they look cool. I'm just holding this clip away from you, I just like the way this looks. It's a bit industrial. It's, in my mind, quite a neat look with those ribs. I just really like it. The nib on this is really exceptional. I absolutely love it. It's a really pleasant writer. Just for me, just the right amount of feedback. Very pleasant writer that I really enjoyed using. So that to me is big props. After all, that's what you buy a pen for. This is an actual writer. This is not a collector's piece. This is not something anyone will put in a glass cabinet. It's for everyday writing, and it does a beautiful job at that. Excuse me. The spring-loaded clip is neat. I just like it. It works well. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. Great. Works really well. And again, I think it looks cool with the facet on it. It looks neat. Again, a bit of an industrial look. The final thing I will say is 66 euros. I know you can get cheaper pens, but what you get for that amount of money is a very well-made pen. Solid, well built, everything fits well, good tolerances, and a very comfortable writer. I will say about it, it's not the world's biggest pen. So if you really like larger pens, or if you have really bigger hands, it doesn't pose super well. Maybe this is not for you. But even though it is smaller than what I would typically go for, I've still not had any issues writing with this pen. So I think it's a very nice writer. There we are. A very kind thank you to Joost for lending me this. I hope this was useful. Let me know what you think of the design, because this sort of the ribbed design is not for everyone. But let me know what you think. And I'd gladly see you later. Bye.